Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. When I say it's the Andrew Eborn Show, it's not really. It's the John Allison Show because he's back and he's live here in the studio. How are you, John?
Right. To finish up the story about the composition of Are You Sure?
Oh, yes, I'll tell you what, we can start, because those who didn't manage to hear the start of this, we were talking in the last episode about the history of how you wrote your song, Are You Sure? So start from the beginning on that one. Tell me about it, because it was about a real life love of yours, wasn't it?
Yes, my very first serious girlfriend. Her name was Lynette, which is a lovely name, and we've been dating each other. She was in the church youth club where I was the head choir boy. And from the moment that we met, we saw each other nearly every day for about a year. And we had a few simple spats. She was a bit going through that period. We were both between 17 and 18. And I learned years later that girls' emotions and hormone levels fluctuate like bloody mad. And so there were 2 or 3 times when she said, "Oh, I don't want to go out with you anymore." And she would drop a note through my door. And then 2 or 3 days later, she'd drop another note through the door saying, "I'm sorry, can we make up again?" And there were little spats over absolutely nothing. I never understood. I looked at somebody the wrong way. I said the wrong word. I don't know. But anyway, so suddenly she broke it off. I used to be very proper. I used to be smart and tidy. I used to go around to her house every Friday evening with a small box of chocolates and a bunch of flowers and say, "These are for you," And then we'd go in and we'd have tea and perhaps a meal with her parents and so on. And then we'd go out for a walk and it was all very innocent. There was no intimacy. We were petrified in those days, either of getting ourselves into trouble or their parents getting wild at us. And her dad was a very big bloke, He'd been in the Indian Army. But anyway, she wasn't Indian. Her real father was English in the English Army. And he married an Indian lady. And she was born, she looked very English. The pretty tilted nose and freckles and a ponytail, big ballet dresses and so on. And then when I met her family, her dad was this big Indian bloke, and it turned out that her mother had remarried. So the strange situation of having a girlfriend with 2 obviously Indian parents, and she looked just like a typical English rose, But anyway, so we had a lovely relationship and got on well together. We saw each other regularly at the church and in the youth club and so on. Went to the cinema and painting exhibitions and all that sort of thing. And suddenly one evening I came home from work and I went round to her. I got myself clean and tidy with a fresh shirt on. Went round, knocked on the door. She opened the door and I offered her the flowers and the chocolates. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I don't take presents from people I'm not going out with," and closed the door. Dramatic scene. I went to pieces. I went home and cried, and absolutely devastated. Well, to cut a long story short, over the next few months, I wrote a succession of very sad songs. And one afternoon, about 6 months later, I was in the drawing office. It was a lovely, brilliant, sunny day, and the sun shining through the mottled glass of the windows, and the coloured green leaves waving about in the breeze. I thought, if only I could get out of here, be a singer, and travel the country with my guitar. This would solve everything. And then I began to, why on earth did she say goodbye? I don't understand why she finished it. So I kept thinking, would she change her mind? So that was the idea behind the story. And I hadn't got a tune. Normally when I wrote songs, I'd been writing songs for about 2 years. You get an idea for a tune, first of all, and then you decide what lyrics, which sort of lyrics would suit that sort of tune. And I hadn't got a tune, right. But I had an idea. I thought about this thought that why are there so many words that mean goodbye? So I wrote them down. Goodbye, farewell, so long, au revoir. And then I thought, I could turn that into a verse. So I did. I still hadn't got a tune. Then I got told off to get on with my work. Then I made an excuse and went to the toilet, got myself in a cubicle, shut the door, put the lock on, put the lid down, sat on the toilet and wrote the rest of the words. But I still hadn't got a tune. So I wrote 2 or 3 verses, put them in my pocket, back to the drawing board and get on with my work. So I got home in the evening and my mum was getting my tea ready. That's what we used to call it, And I said, "I've just got to do something. Mum, okay, I'll be down in a minute." So I went upstairs and got my guitar and I thought, quick. I've got to think of something before the idea goes. Well, I've got these. So I basically said to my fingers, I can't think of a tune out of the blue that fits these lyrics. And I said to my fingers, You find something. And my fingers just went jing, 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 jing. I thought, that's not very musical. It's a bit mechanical. Anyway, I tried to sing to it, and I thought, well, it fits, but it's not musical. That could never be a song. I'll have to work on it later and improve it. So I went downstairs and I had my meal, you know, came back up. Well, over the next few days, or a week or more, I just couldn't change it. What I'd started with stuck with me. Now, at the time, Bob was doing his exams, his school exams. He stayed on till he was 18. And his parents were determined to make him concentrate and do well. So they pulled him out of the choir and they banned us from meeting. So I didn't even have Bob around. We normally ran through my songs to see what we could do with them. So I worked on it myself over the next few weeks, and I didn't see Bob for nearly 2 months. When he finally came round, I'd got the tune settled in my mind and I couldn't change it, and I'd written the rest of the words. So I sang it to him and I said, look, what do you think we can do with this? So we worked on it and created a harmony. Now I'll sing you the first verse a cappella, okay?
Okay.
This is when I first created it. And it goes, goodbye, farewell, I'm not sure what to do. So long, au revoir, it's hard, but I'll pull through. Are you sure you won't be sorry comes tomorrow? You won't want me back again to hold you tightly. And then I wrote some more verses, and I thought, well, and I kept singing it. I was involved with 2 churches and 2 youth clubs, and I sang it to various friends, and it was quite nice, you know, yeah, it's okay. So Bob came round, and we worked on it, and we worked out a very simple harmony. I had the higher voice, so I switched from the melody to a higher voice, but I can sing it to you now as it would be, the version as we did it. And it basically became a bit, very similar, but a bit more melodic and so on. And of course and I'm still playing this old Portuguese guitar. I didn't have a rock and roll guitar, but it had made me try really hard to play guitar properly. So anyway, so we sang it, and it became goodbye, goodbye, farewell, farewell, I'm not sure what to do. So long, au revoir, au revoir, it's hard, but I'll pull through. Are you sure you won't be sorry comes tomorrow? You won't want me back again to hold you tightly. And he goes, now are you sure it's not your foolish heart that you won't grieve if we're to be apart? You will see as time goes by, we'll grow lonely, you and I dreaming of each other, and we'll cry. And again, the first goodbye, goodbye, farewell, farewell. So right, that'll do for now. Now, what I was going to say was, once we'd got it settled and it joined my other songs that we'd rehearsed, we began to, so I said, well, we began to make efforts to try and get on a record label. So I bought a tape recorder on hire purchase, and we began to make tapes, and we began to send them to record companies that we found the address of in the New Musical Express. Well, virtually nobody replied. And all 3 songs, we put the same 3 songs on each tape, and one of them was Are You Sure? And every single record company completely ignored it. Nothing happened. So we didn't think there was anything special about the song. And we said it's a many record labels. I've even kept the return letter in the box that came from one little record label. He said, thank you for letting me hear your songs. They're very interesting, but I'm sorry, I don't think there's anything we can do with them. And that was it. That included Are You Sure? And we even then did a BBC audition to try and get on radio, and we sang the same 3 songs, which included Are You Sure? In February 1960, and we failed the audition, not because of our voices, but because my guitar playing was so bad. They said, if you can get professional backing, we'll give you another audition. Right. Well, that was in February 1960, and a year later, we performed it in the Song for Europe, and it won.
And the rest, as they say, is history. Absolutely. And how? And then went on to sell 1 million copies around the world. It knocked Elvis.
Well, you can understand our shock and surprise. The bloody thing had been ignored by everybody, turned down by the BBC, and here we were with the #1 record all over Europe, and going over #1 over Elvis. Like, we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it.
It's absolutely, you are the poster boy, if you like, for determination and perseverance, and just keep trying and don't give up, because everybody, and many people, I've had many people on the show, from the famous writers who all part of the public perception, is that people become an overnight success. You're only an overnight success once you've had many, many years of trying to make it. And I think that's the reality.
I never stopped learning to play the guitar. So while I played my guitar every night for a year to make my fingers learn where to go, and I didn't stop. And I made them bleed and split, but I was determined. I thought, I'm not going to be able to play for myself unless I learn how to handle this bloody thing. So I gave it a good go. But as you say, it wasn't an overnight success. We had every reason to suppose we could have sung different songs, but we liked those three, and all of them ended up on our records. But what can I say? When it happened, we thought this has got to be a joke. Any moment, people are going to say to us, no, it's not really serious, so thanks very much, and it would all be over. So we thought, well, we'll go along with it as long as we can, but we simply were astounded that something that had failed so many times was now a raving success all over the world. It was unbelievable.
No, absolutely. And last time we were talking about the glorious line in there and how you played with words and the phrase comes tomorrow. Remind people who missed the last episode how that phrase and how you played with language to destroy any linguist's hope of making any sense of it. Comes tomorrow. What was the story of that?
Well, all I can say to you is there isn't a story behind it really, apart from the way my brain works. The moment I got an idea in my brain, I found the lyrics formed themselves. And it was something that I thought was perfectly normal to say. Bob nearly made me change it. He said, you can't sing comes tomorrow. It's got to be come tomorrow. I said, no, it doesn't sound right. No, I'm sorry. I'm sticking with comes tomorrow, So all I can say is I don't know where I got the phrase, but it was in my head and I had to put it down on paper. And of course, it was many. By the time I wrote that, I'd already written about 100 songs. I've got all my songs in a book, a little notebook I bought from Woolworths. Everything was done on the cheap. We had no money to spare. And wait, listen, I think I might have mentioned it before, but at the moment that the record was, I think my battery might be going. Hold on, let me plug it in. I forgot. Hold on a sec. Hold on. I'll plug it in to make sure it doesn't go off all of a sudden.
Yes, we want to make sure we're all plugged in. Make sure you keep that power going.
Hold on, let's put the plug in. Hold on.
There you go. That's all right. It's all good stuff. Because that's what I love about it. Here, the full lyrics. There we go. Right. So, this will make sure you won't want me back again to hold you tightly in my arms. I love it.
Well, this will make sure that
around the world have always wondered about that phrase, and you've clarified that. It doesn't matter. It just worked well for you at that time. We also worked out last time in that Yoda-esque type way that you've never seen Star Wars, so we're going to rectify that as well. We're going to take you along.
Well, of course, in 1960, when I wrote it, which was 1959, Star Wars wasn't what Star Wars wasn't even.
It wasn't even a little twinkle in the brain of somebody wonderful. But you're right.
No, but all I can say is I tapped, as far as lyric writing is concerned, I accidentally tapped into a skill I didn't know I had. Because what I then found was whenever I was writing songs, I couldn't stop the lyrics flowing. They just came out of me. I just had to write them down. So I can't explain to you where they came from. It's just a love of language and stuff I'd picked up from bits and pieces. So what Bob and I had was the ability to turn them into lovely harmony. And that was the joy of singing. We loved church singing and the lovely soaring harmonies. And had we been given the opportunity, but we had our recording manager had a distinct lack of imagination. He never gave us the freedom to use the studio to see what we could produce. And had we done so, because we used to practice in the street, blending, one of us would sing something and the other one would sing something in answer to it. And then the other one would come in and rap something else around that. So we were an early version of a group that I've heard of and don't know much about called Enya. It is a bit like harmonic voices, very similar to monks singing, chanting.
Oh, Enya, wonderful sound that they create.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, and that's what we like to do, using our voices like instruments.
Well, you were the answer. People always said this in the press at the time, didn't they? You were the British Everly Brothers. In the same way as Cliff was the British Elvis, you were the British Everly Brothers.
Yes. Unfortunately, while we couldn't stop reporters and journalists saying that, there was an unspoken presumption that we were copying them. But we've been singing together before we'd even ever heard of the Everly Brothers.
Right.
Let me tell you, we were very limited, and there's a word for it, hamstrung. There's another word for it too. When a jockey has to carry extra weight, what do they call that?
Well, you have that sort of
Liability.
handicap. Yes, you have a handicap.
Liability.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the only experience we had was singing in a church choir. But the Everly Brothers used to sing on their parents' radio program in America. I mean, what a wonderful start. I mean, their father was a guitarist, you know. I mean, what a wonderful start. So it made it very easy for them to sort of sing country songs and develop a harmony. So the only experience we had was in singing in an English church choir. But it was a wonderful experience. We loved it. And all we could think of at the time was how wonderful it would be if we could take this skill and this sound we could produce and actually earn a living from it. That's the only thing we thought of. Is there some way we could make a living from this and be nothing but singers? And that's all we were looking for. And that's what we achieved, but weren't able to sustain it. Because what we discovered in the pop music world is you can't operate in isolation. You need a record company and a manager and an agent and a music publisher, all skills we knew nothing about. So there was nothing we could do about it. That's basically it. So from then on.
Yeah, no, but and the rest, as they say, is history. I mean, nowadays people would just dream of 1 million records, you know, to get the gold disc. I mean, it's a gold disc is the requirements are not as big as they used to be, but a glorious, glorious moment. So thank you so much, John, for being our guest again and explaining that. Are you going to finish with at least finish with a chorus or something from your wonderful hit? Now that you've explained the history, and I'll introduce you, and you can do an a cappella version of as much as you want to sing of it. John Allison with that wonderful hit from 1961. It knocked Elvis Presley off the top, Wooden Heart, not once but twice. What should have been officially the winner of the Eurovision 1961.
Okay.
Please welcome John Allison with Are You Sure?
Yeah, but listen, what I'll do is I'll sing the last verse and show you how to alter the lyrics to finish the song off. Okay, so shall I just do it now?
Go for it, John.
Right, the last verse of Are You Sure is goodbye, goodbye, farewell, farewell. I'm not sure what to, no, goodbye, goodbye, farewell, farewell. It's hard, but I've lost it. I can't do it in isolation from singing the rest of the song. Goodbye, goodbye, farewell, farewell. What is there to live for? Before you go, just think now, are you sure? Are you sure you won't be sorry comes tomorrow? You won't want me back again to hold you tightly. That's basically it. Okay.
John Allison, thank you so much for being my guest. It's a pleasure to see you again. Thanks a lot, John. Take care.
We'll see you next time on part 4.
Part 27, I think we're up to. It's going to be. I'll see you then. Take care, John. Bye-bye.
Watch this space.
Absolutely. Fill this space with lots of great content. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, John.
Okay. Bye for now.
There you go. The wonderful John Allison with the story of Are You Sure? The 1961 British entry for the Eurovision Song Competition, which should have won. It came second, but from a technicality, because the person who won, representing Luxembourg, was actually French. And in those days, apparently that wasn't supposed to be allowed. But he's a real character. Isn't he great? 1 million records they sold. Knocked Elvis Presley off the #1 with Wooden Heart and went on to be a global success with that glorious song, Are You Sure? Even with that extraordinary lyric, you know, comes tomorrow. Anyway, now you know the story of all of that. If you are interested and would like to take part in the show, write to me at guests@octopustv.com. That's guests@octopustv.com. Don't forget to follow, subscribe on all the usual channels. You can find me all the usual platforms. Andrew Eborn @Octopus TV. But for now, thank you so much again to John. We'll see you again soon. Look after yourself. Be safe, be careful, and goodbye.